The Athletic's Scott Wheeler has begun his yearly tradition of ranking prospect pools in the NHL, and he started from the bottom up. As you can probably expect, the Islanders didn't fare very well, ranking 31st. So let's talk about the ranking in general and what we should take away from it. Of course, hit that subscribe button. Do not miss a video. Also, go to Twitter, follow @TLOMitch. That's me. Don't miss any breaking information about Islanders prospects I may not have yet covered on the channel. So let's talk about the overall first. Let's talk about the ranking itself before getting into the players themselves. So first off, the Islanders ranked 31st out of 32. Is that bad? Well, yeah, it looks bad. Obviously, you don't want to be 31 out of 32, but there's a reason for that, and Scott Wheeler attests to that in his writing as well. I'm not going to post what he wrote. I want you to go and read it because I would appreciate the same thing. Obviously, it's behind a paywall for a reason. I'm not going to go in and just post the article itself because that doesn't do it any service. I would want to get paid for my work as well. So we know it's 31 out of 32. Is that a bad thing? No, and Scott Wheeler knows why that's not a bad thing because he wrote about it, saying well, they haven't made a pick in the first round since 2019. They've made 2 picks in the second round since that same year, right, being Samuel Bolduc and Arthur Aatu. So right there you get the sense of that's why the Islanders prospect pool isn't as strong as the rest of the league, even if it's just keeping up somewhere middle of the pack. They're not really making a lot of picks. Because that's what happens when you run for championships, right? When you make those runs, when you make those pushes for championships, you shed off prospects and draft picks. That really being the latter for the Islanders, where they've shed off first-round picks, they shed off second-round picks, not only to acquire talent like Kyle Palmieri and Travis Zajac, but also just to shed off contracts to keep that talent, right? Like the Andrew Ladd trade, they've shed off draft picks so they can shed off $5 million worth of contracts. That's going to happen for a team that's pushing for a Stanley Cup. And so that's right away why they're a little bit lower. Could this ranking be higher though, right? Well, is he wrong to put us at 31? No, I wouldn't necessarily argue about the ranking. And even if it would, it'd probably be they should be 29th instead of 31st or something like that, which is semantics at this point. It's not they should be 15 instead of 31. I'm losing my mind here. Not at all. Not at all. 31 is fine. That is reflective of where the Islanders are. And you'll see it kind of jives with what I've got in terms of my rankings as well. Scott Wheeler and I aren't really far off with where we rank the Islanders prospects. We'll get to that in a little bit later here. So again, is there a problem that the Islanders rank 31st out of 32 just by looking at the number? Should they be higher? No. Could they be higher? Yeah, of course. If they take Philip Tomasino or Connor McMichael instead of Simon Holmstrom, they're probably a little bit higher. And that's not me saying God, I really hate that Simon Holmstrom pick. I kind of wish they would have taken Tomasino or Connor McMichael, but now that Simon Holmstrom is here, I'm giving him the time to develop as a prospect, and so far so good. It's taking some time, but it's trending in the right direction. Other than that, should they be a little bit higher? No, they really shouldn't. And there's a key factor here, right? And it's the age cutoff. For Scott Wheeler, it's 22 or lower. Anyone who's 23 or older does not count. So Kiefer Bellows, Otto Koivula, Robin Salo, and guys who have developed into NHL talents, so that's Noah Dobson and Oliver Wahlstrom, don't count. Those latter two don't count for me either because they've become NHL players. But those first 3 guys, Koivula, Salo, Kiefer Bellows, still count for me, although not for too long, I would imagine. Now let's talk about the players, right? So I'm not going to give you the full ranking. You can go and look at his article. I've linked it in the description below. Again, I don't want to give away his entire article. It's behind a paywall. Scott deserves to be paid for his work, so on and so forth. But what I will do is show you the ranking that I have and the difference between what Scott Wheeler has and myself for all the players that are 22 or lower, right? So I'm not counting the 23-year-olds or a little bit older than that. Only the guys that are 22 or lower. So only the guys that Scott Wheeler has counted. Here is my order based off of NHLE this year. So it's not counting their entire career, just this year. And you'll see there's not a whole lot of difference. And where there is a difference, a large difference, we can probably explain it pretty easily. So my ranking in order from 1 through 14, Ishkakov, Ratu, Dufour, Holmstrom, Berg, Lucas, Newkirk, Jenkins, Malinen, Rayanemi, Ljungcrantz, Wild, Bolduc, And Lennox, I rank Lennox last with an asterisk there because he's a goalie. Yes, you've seen my top 5 where I do include goalies, but goalies are still voodoo, so I've had him at the bottom there. And you can see I've added the plus minus for the differential before between where Scott Wheeler has them and where I have them. And there isn't a whole lot of difference there. You know, maybe Ljungcrantz and Jenkins are a little bit higher than where Scott Wheeler has them than where I have them. And Bolduc certainly drops a lot lower just because he's done absolutely nothing so far at the AHL level this year. But other than that, it's pretty standard, right? Like, yeah, Iskhakov is higher at +3, right, compared to where Wheeler has him. But that's because he's had a really good start to the season. That might trend down a little bit lower as things kind of like stabilize for him. Or not. Maybe he just dominates the German league and we're like, oh, word, we should really sign this kid ASAP. And of course, Wheeler won't say that Iskhakov should be the first ranked prospect in the team or in the prospect pool, but he does fancy him as a player, saying like, look, there's something there. He's not saying that he's going to be a star at the NHL level, but he's an intriguing prospect that should be brought into the fold. And I 1000% agree with that. You will not catch me disagreeing with that statement at all in any way, shape, or form. So you can see while fans might be getting upset that, well, they're ranked 31st. There's a lot of disrespect for the Islanders prospect pool. There really isn't. There is not any disrespect to the Islanders prospect pool. Compared to what I've got, there's not a whole lot of difference, right? You see a lot of like -1. So there's like, they're basically where they are for Scott Wheeler. So if you're getting mad that the Islanders are ranked 31st, don't. There's a lot of context involved as to why they are where they are. And it doesn't mean that the Islanders prospect pool does not have anyone that has any talent or anyone that could make it to the NHL level. It just means that they don't have a cream of the crop prospect pool with a ton of blue chip prospects waiting to get to the NHL. That's the key part there, waiting to get to the NHL. The Islanders already have their prospects in the NHL now. Oliver Wahlstrom, Noah Dobson, Kiefer Bellows, Robin Salo are all at the NHL level right now and having various degrees of success for the team. So, yes, the Islanders prospect pool might be ranked 31st, but they're not waiting for their guys to jump to the NHL. They're already here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for following. If you have not subscribed yet, hit the button. And if you have, thank you, thank you, thank you.